All right, welcome to the People's Fantasy Football Podcast. This is our Mailbag short edition, and I'm Doug By here once again with Joey G Money Ginolfi and Andrew Garganese. We are missing one guy though today.
It's a
Uh,
blessing. It's a blessing. God gave us a gift.
yeah, it's gonna be a little quieter on this episode. Um, but Mike already answered these questions that we're gonna answer in this mailbag, so it's time for us to answer for ourselves now. All right, so let's jump right into it. First question is, and both questions are coming from M Bragg 9090. And first question is, if you have pick number 2 in a full point PPR, in rounds 2 and 3, are you targeting a quarterback, tight end, if the big three and Mark Andrews are all still available, or are you getting positional value while you can? And I'm going to start with this one because the last episode, you guys took all my answers. So let me give it a start here with, I think this depends on where you go with the second pick, right? And for me, if you go CMC or Eckler or JJ or Chase, that makes a big difference in this whole thing. If you go CMC or Eckler, I don't think you need to go for a wide receiver as much in the second and third, but in a full point PPR, you still do want those pass catchers, right? But with CMC and Eckler, those guys catch like they're receivers as well. So I just had a number 3 pick in the league that we were all just in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this kind of happened to me, but that's a half point PPR. And in that one, I went Chase first, Josh Allen second round, came back around with Mark Andrews. So I did exactly what he's kind of asking. um, in a full point PPR, I think I would think a little differently though. I'd probably lean more towards trying to get another pass catcher there instead of Josh Allen. And so if it was me, I'd go JJ or Chase to start, lock in that top wide receiver, and then hope that Olave or Waddle comes back to me. And then I think I'm still taking Mark Andrews in the third round. I still think there's a lot of value there. He's obviously a pass catcher as well. So, and then I would kind of punt running back and look at the pass catching running backs later on, like a James Cook or even Antonio Gibson late. All right. So that's where I'm at with that. Joseph, where are you at with that?
So the second pick, I could tell you, no matter what I pick first, I'm not going quarterback or tight end with that second round pick. Full point PPR, I think skill positions are too valuable. The only person that I would bring into consideration round 3 is whoever you have ranked as the top quarterback. I could understand a reach there in the third round. For me, the only person valuable in that position is Jalen Hurts, just because, in my opinion, I think he's going to have the biggest year out of 3, and I think he's going to be up for MVP this year. But in a full point PPR league, I'm still probably not making that pick. Half point, yes. Full point, I think skill players are too valuable still with like a guy like Ridley, Devontae Smith, somebody who's going to get a lot of catches. Even a guy like Mixon or ETN who's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. I still value them too high for a full point PPR league to go quarterback there. But tight end, I'm punting tight end till a Darren Waller or something like that a couple rounds later.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of targets with him probably being the number 1 target getter there. So you're going to be fine with catches with that. Andy, where you at with it?
You guys know I'm fading quarterback rounds 2 and 3. You know that I'm probably grabbing the most guy that's gonna give me the most fantasy points, no matter who that is. I don't really care. We've been over that. So honestly, unless Travis Kelce has some kind of incredible fucking immaculate slide, I'm probably punting tight end too. I like Mark Andrews a lot. I actually like TJ Hawkinson a lot. I would grab Hawk back end of the third, Mark Andrews too, but not at 3-2. There's just too many good skill players, right? You might have gotten Jameer Gibbs. Tony Pollard's been sliding a lot. Mixon and ETN, like you just talked about, and then you guys know the wide receivers that I love: the Keenan Allens, the Calvin Ridleys, Amari. I mean, it's a little early for Amari there slightly, but there's a lot of good running back and wide receivers in those first. I mean, what is that? The first 26 picks of the draft. You have an incredible amount of talent. So I'm probably just I'm just taking my three favorites. I don't care if it's, three receivers or three running backs, whoever I think the three people are that are going to score me the most points.
Yeah. All right. I like Calvin Ridley a lot there. And I think that's even a little early for him right now, but he just keeps on rising up the boards. So, all right, on to the next question here. And the next one is, can you rank this tier of wide receivers in a PPR? And there's a lot of wide receivers there. He gave us 7 names. And so it's Godwin.
You texted these?
Yeah. It's Godwin, Ayuk, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, or Rodson, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Oh, God.
DJ Moore, D Hop, and Drake London. These guys are all going in like the 41 to 53 range, so it's like rounds 4 and 5 receivers there, and they're all are pretty tight. But in a PPR league, Joe, where you going?
So full point PPR league, it's going to be a little different than what my big board was because my big board was based on half point. DeAndre Hopkins is still number 1 for me in this group. DJ Moore would be number 2 because I think he's going to have high receptions on a lot of slant routes and stuff with Justin Fields. His yardage could be questionable possibly, but I think he's going to get a good amount of receptions there. Drake London next. I still think he's getting a lot of targets there. I know they have Bijan. I know they have Pitts, but I don't believe in Pitts. I think Ritter's got a good relationship with London, as I've talked about before. Chris Godwin I would put next because I think he's going to get a lot of catches in that slant route position type of routes a lot. Christian Watson would be my next guy.
Hey,
You got it.
I have Jerry Jeudy lower than others. I'm just not big on Jerry Jeudy. I actually like Sutton later in the draft. If you can come away with that, I prefer that value out of the 2 Broncos wide receiver, and then Ayuk is at the bottom of it for me just because I don't think he'll get as many receptions as those other guys.
Okay. Way to explain every single name there. I like every single one of them. Didn't
this is a short
one.
So yeah, fucking not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
My bad.
I'm just gonna blow through my names, but yeah, Andy, go ahead.
So little surprised by Joey's list because we did a draft as co-owners of a team. And then we did another draft where we sat next to each other and talked about all of our picks. And our lists are pretty different, Joe. I'm gonna take Jerry Jeudy's my favorite in a PPR on this list. Then I'm gonna go Godwin, Ayuk. I'm gonna put Watson here, even though I don't want to. Then I'm gonna go D Hop, London, Moore, and we went over DJ Moore in the last episode.
Yeah, it's a quarterback thing with him.
It's not a him thing. I think his targets will be there, but they're what might call him Lamar.
I gotta
targets,
ask you, why do you have D Hop so low? You think he's nearing the end here?
I don't think he's the same receiver, which is it's a tough tier to be on, but he's not that guy anymore. He's still very good, but they're a run first offense. They're built to run. Tannehill's, he's not a gunslinger. He's not gonna be ripping the ball up and down the field. And I like Burks, so I don't think Burks is better than Hopkins, but I do think that he's gonna get a reasonable amount of targets. So all those things kind of add up with D Hop, just not as high for me as he is for you guys.
Yeah, I got D Hop 1. It's been a few years, but it's 2 years ago he had over 100 receptions. He still gets a lot of touchdowns, so I think there's still a lot of value with him. I got Chris Godwin after that, just because he's a target getter. He had over 100 receptions last year. I know they're not going to throw as much, but he'll be in the 90s. DJ Moore after that, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, Drake London, and I got Brandon Ayuk coming up the rear there as well because there's too many mouths. There's too many mouths there, and I think there's too many mouths in Atlanta. That's why I have those 2 at the end.
Yeah, Andy, what do you like so much about Ayuk that you got him higher than some of these guys?
All right, this is gonna sting a little because Deebo Samuel's probably my favorite non-Bill to watch in the league. It's just awesome to watch, but he's not like a true wide receiver. He's not. He's great with the ball in his hands. However, you can funnel him the ball and get him in some space. He's incredible. Ayuk is kind of turning the corner into a pretty elite wide receiver. His targets last year were, I think, over 100. His target share is going up, and Deebo's is falling off a little bit. And I don't think he's kind of taken that a step to be I don't want to say elite route runner, but I think he's in that second tier of route runners in the league right now.
There's a ton of
He's
talent.
really progressed.
Yeah, he's got a ton of talent. They drafted him in the first round for a reason. He's probably the best pure receiver there. I agree with that. But he also might be the third or fourth target there with CMC, Debo, and Kittle. All right, boys.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead, Joe. What are you gonna say?
no. I was just gonna say that's just what I worry about. There is his targets with what they have there. That's all.
Yeah. All right, boys. So we spoke for ourselves, so Mike doesn't speak for us all the time. All right. All right. Thanks. And for Andy, Joe, I'm Doug Bye, and we'll see you guys next time. Later.
See you, boys.